clinical trial of the first of its kind ever conducted in Gaucher disease. And thus this was a worldwide effort where more than 26 centers in as many countries participated in the clinical trial. And this was a randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trial where half the patients were on the active drug and the other half were randomized in a double-blind fashion to the placebo arm of the trial. And so the initial double-blind period was for 9 months, and then an open-label period of another 9 months where all the placebo patients switched over to the active drug. And I had the privilege of presenting data 4.5 years out into the beginning, since the beginning of the clinical trial. And so the data were extremely encouraging. First, in the initial placebo-controlled trial, the primary endpoint was met. Many aspects of Gaucher disease reversed on treatment. And long-term, as patients continued on treatment, liver volume decreased, spleen volume decreased, blood counts improved, and importantly, the biomarkers, which reflect disease pathophysiology, improved in a spectacular manner. And so these were effects that were sustained over a period of 4.5 years in an incremental manner. And so the data long-term really surpassed our wildest expectation. So patients tolerated the treatment well. There were no major safety issues, and there was a very high rate of adherence to treatment long-term in these patients. And this engaged clinical trial, together with multiple other clinical trials, the phase 2 and the phase 3 studies, eventually led to the approval of eliglustat for adults with type 1 Gaucher disease as a first-line treatment in the United States, and then more recently in Europe, as well as in Asia. And so this oral treatment is becoming the standard of care, and this is a major clinical advance because other than substrate reduction therapy with Cerdelga, enzyme replacement therapy involved lifelong infusions of enzyme every 2 weeks. And that treatment is targeted primarily to the macrophage system, whereas substrate reduction therapy controls disease pathophysiology in all cell types of the body. So this is a major paradigm shift in treatment of Gaucher disease, and it really opens the door to even treating in the long term, and there are now studies underway, neuronopathic forms of Gaucher disease, and eventually with the development of beta molecules that can cross the blood-brain barrier, the preclinical data are already showing that it will have some efficacy in controlling Parkinson's disease that is associated with Gaucher mutations. And those clinical trials have just begun.